All right, YouTube, DJ Fedora here with another edition of Let's Talk About. Now, today I want to talk about a show that's near and dear to my heart. It's a stage production, and it's actually been in production and running on Broadway for over 25 years. It's The Phantom of the Opera. It's a very special show. I've seen it multiple times on stage. I've got the music, I play the music, I know it backwards and forwards. My wife enjoys it, my kids enjoy it. But what a lot of people out there, including myself, up to here until recently, did not know is that there is a sequel to The Phantom of the Opera, and it's entitled Love Never Dies. It's, again, by Andrew Loyd Webber, and it was loosely adapted from a 1999 novel called The Phantom of Manhattan, written by Frederick Forsyth in collaboration with Andrew Loyd Webber. It's set in 1907, which, according to the show, is a decade after the conclusion of the original Phantom of the Opera. Christine is invited to perform in Oscar Hammerstein's new opera opening up in New York. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to her, as she brings Raoul and her son Gustav along with her, she's unaware that the Phantom is actually the individual who has arranged her appearance, and he's planning to have her sing at his kind of vaudeville style freak show slash progressive performance venue called Phantasma. And the show is designed around this in the fact that you never quite know what's going to happen, as you are faced with the fact that Christine is now very torn between her marriage with Raoul and her son Gustav, and the Phantom coming back into her life, and her love that she had for him. So she's torn back and forth between the two. And the show concludes with a twist ending that you will never see coming. But I'm not going to tell you what it is, because I don't want to spoil it. A little bit about the history of Love Never Dies in itself as a performance. The original show opened in London. And it opened in London in 2010. Unfortunately, a few months later after it opened, it shut down for extensive reworkings. Now, it opened with the cast of Ramin Karimloo and Sierra Bodges redoing their performances as the Phantom and Christine, respectively. So even with the two individuals who were coming from the original Phantom of the Opera reprising their roles, the original performance of London had a lot of problems. Just the stage itself, very, very poorly designed. A very boxy stage, very little going on it, as compared to the original Phantom of the Opera. They had a scrim that they were projecting effects onto, kind of giving a weird overlay appearance to the show. It just did not work, and it didn't last very long. Unfortunately, for the production, it was just plagued with too many technical problems. The story is good, but it was reworked and reworked and reworked, and it just never quite got that grasp that the Phantom of the Opera had. People just didn't enjoy it, and it had a very disappointing run, and it closed less than 18 months later. Not very long, especially compared to the performance and popularity of the original Phantom of the Opera, running for over 25 years. I mean, we're going on 3 decades now. It's crazy. So, Love Never Dies. It didn't end there. It actually got a very, very, very extensive reworking. And the original production was directed by Jack O'Brien and choreographed by Jerry Mitchell. and set and costume designs by Bob Crowley. However, Simon Phillips from Australia grabbed it and said, you know what? I've got some high hopes with this. Let's bring it to Melbourne and hopefully Broadway, and let's rework this thing and really give it what it deserves. And he did. And I've got to tell you that the Love Never Dies that I watched, that was recorded from the Melbourne production, that was filmed on September 15th of 2011, was phenomenal. The music, which most of the music from the original London production came to the Australian production, as is. It was changed a little bit for the show, but the show flows so much smoother from what I've seen. You can see the original London production online through some badly recorded videos, and you can get a very good idea, and I'm showing some of those clips here, of kind of a comparison of the London production to the Australian production, and you can see the difference. Now, even though the Australian production is a professionally shot movie style performance for DVD, it's the actual stage that the show was done on, and it is in front of a live audience, so you're seeing the actual production being done. It's just boxed very much by for a camera versus stage eye, but you can still just see from that the major differences between the two and how much more rich and vibrant and technical the Australian stage is to the original London stage, and just how much you can see why the London production failed versus the Australian production, which is phenomenal. Now, the story itself pulled together and really made to flow well, so that you go from the very beginning to the end as an individual story without needing to be able to see the original Phantom and enjoy it. Now, here's the flip side of it. The story and stage production of Love Never Dies is its own production. It's completely separate from the Phantom. It has its own style, it has its own flavor, and it has its own pizzazz. And as a result, it has its own sound. It's not a direct sequel, music style-wise, to the original Phantom. The original Phantom is very much operatic, with a little bit of rock and roll thrown in there from the actual Phantom of the Opera song, but very much operatic. This Love Never Dies is very progressive. It's got a little bit of everything in it. And I think that's what I like so much about it, and I think you will too. But you really have to keep your mind open, and you really have to realize that this is not supposed to be the Phantom of the Opera. The Phantom has come to America now. This is a new world. This is Coney Island, where it's set in. This is New York. This is the creme de la creme of American society in its heyday of birth. So naturally it's going to be different, and that's what you got to remember. It is the birth of a new type of sound that the Phantom has embraced and has brought to life for himself as a new life in America. And so as a result, we've got a different show. Is it a great show? I really think it is. The more I watch it, the more it gets stuck on me, the more I love the music, and the more I appreciate Andrew Loyd Webber for what he's tried to do. He's taken his baby, the original Phantom of the Opera, the show that really threw him into superstardom, and he's made a sequel to it. As hard as that may be, because he's dealing with something that's just grandiose, something that was perfect. It worked perfectly. It was so well done and so well put together that everything just fell into place for it to be a super mega hit. He's taking that and he's trying to take the legacy forward. And that's a very hard thing to do. And that's another reason why I appreciate this show so much more for what it is and what it has to offer. Because it's a completely different flair on the original take of the Phantom of the Opera. It's a modern twist to a classic story. I highly recommend you check it out. I really think you'll enjoy it. When you do, tell me what you thought of the movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you appreciate its change? Did you enjoy the movie for what it had to offer as a standalone show versus what the original Phantom of the Opera had as a stage production? Because it is a movie when you watch it, the show on that was produced from the Melbourne production, because it's filmed just like a movie, boxed like a movie. However, the even though it is a stage production, it's very movie-ish in the way that they produced it, which I think, and again, it helps me to really appreciate it more, because it's amazing that they could take a stage production and film it so well that it looks like a movie, and yet there it is. It's actually happening live in front of an audience, and that's another reason why I really feel like the Australian version, in lieu of the London version, was done so much better and so well. And that's why I'm looking forward to it coming to America, which they have announced just here recently that it will be getting a 2017, this year. Love Never Dies is coming to America, the Australian reworked version that I love so much and that I think you will love too. Check it out, and then you're going to like it so much, I know that you're going to want to go see it. So it's going to go on tour. Whether it gets to Broadway, it hadn't quite said, but it said there will be a 2017 American tour of Love Never Dies. That is the announcement. And so, you know, that's something to be very excited about. And guys, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you take my advice and check it out. Let me know what you thought, honestly. I will be having a contest here pretty soon. That will be a subscription-driven contest. You will get your chances to win by subscribing to my channel and bringing more people in to subscribing. And we'll start it now. Even though I'm going to announce the contest here in a little bit, people who start subscribing now will be a part of the contest. And if you bring people in and recommend they subscribe, and they tell me that you recommended them, then you will get entered in again, and they will get entered too. And so you guys can get more and more and more, and we'll do a random drawing, but I will announce what the contest is going to be exactly here pretty quickly. You're going to love it. And likes also will be very important. And just keep your eyes open for that. It's going to be cool. Guys, let me remind you, hey, we are not anonymous, but we are everywhere. And until we see you again, we bid thee farewell. Good night.